This is actually going to be the last message of the series. And we've talked a lot about upward and downward connections within the family. And we talked about those dysfunctional families and how everybody's family is dysfunctional. And we talked about parenting. We talked about being children of God. And in this month of February, we can't miss talking about love in the family. February is known for love. We have Valentine's Day. When spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends and just people who like each other get little gifts, a box of chocolates, and they give it to each other. And kids, they get Valentine's cards and they pass it out to their friends. And February is known for love. And when I think of love, I can think of many different examples. Whenever I was growing up, I can think of a time when I was upset at school, and I can't even tell you the situation exactly. But I remember, someone was bothering me, or maybe me and my friends got in a disagreement or something. And I remember my brother coming up to me, and he was like, "All right, what happened? Man, you tell me what happened." I remember thinking, "Oh, I can't tell him the names because my brother's going to go talk to that person." And I was nervous, and my brother was just a few years older than me. But I remember that was an example of him showing me love. He was running to my defense. He was standing up for me. And I can think of my parents showing me love. Maybe whenever I didn't really want to clean my room, and they would encourage me to be like, "Come on, man, clean it." And eventually they would kind of come in there and they would help me out. And they would stick around, and golly, it felt like hours. Or maybe my parents, when they stopped by my college, whenever I was a student, and they would say, "Do you need anything?" They're out shopping and they stopped in. And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm a college student, I need some food." That's my requirements. Or I can think, of love, and I think of my wife. I was married about 6 months ago, and I can think about getting in front of, my friends and my family and making a commitment. All the anticipation and seeing my wife walk down the aisle. I have all these examples of love, but what is love? More importantly, what does it mean to me? So I'm going to focus on those two questions. What is love, and what does it mean to me? And I'm going to pull a lot out of the book that C.S. Lewis wrote called The Four Loves. The Bible used 4 distinct words for love. And in C.S. Lewis's book, he talks about it, and he elaborates on them. And I'm going to briefly talk about those loves. And the first one is storge love. And this is a common love. This is a love that you would show to pretty much anybody. No bias, no holding back because, you have to first like the person. It's just a common love you would show to anybody. You would think, in a supermarket, and your cart's kind of blocking the aisle and someone wants through, and you push your cart to the side so somebody can walk by. And that would be an example of storge love. Maybe, picking up the plates after you and, your family eat and just putting it in the sink. It's a common love. It's most associated with parents. My parents saw me by my college and just seeing if I needed anything. It's a common love that you wouldn't even think about doing, but you would just do it. And chances are you don't notice it until after you've already done it. Maybe it's the husband checking the antifreeze in the vehicle. Or maybe a wife throwing in some extra bacon because her husband likes bacon in the meal. It's just a common love. Now, C.S. Lewis wrote, this love kind of just blankets all the other loves. It's kind of like the salt and pepper, and you just kind of mix it in. It's just kind of added everywhere. I'm going to use an example. It's kind of like leaves on a tree. I have a picture. There's not a specific place that leaves are supposed to be. You don't drive by and be like, "Oh yeah, those leaves need to be there." No, instead it just kind of covers the whole tree. It's just, there's no specific place. And really the only way you would notice that something's wrong with the leaves on a tree is if the leaves weren't there. But that's kind of storge. It just kind of covers everything else. And the second love I'm going to talk about is phileo love. And this is a friendship love. It's love between your guys, or your gal pals, or whatever girls say. That's love shared between two friends. I think of my brother running to my defense. He was showing me that phileo love. He would show me that loyalty and building up with one another. And it's a love that has nothing to do with really your physical side of it. You don't get that rapid heartbeat or, kind of nervous and sweaty palms. Instead, it's a love that's relational. It's built around common lives, common interests, sharing laughter with people. And this is filial love. And I'm not going to build too much on it because most of us experience this. It's this outward connection. And I want to think of it as the trunk of the tree. And we have the leaves that kind of spread over everything. And we would think filial love is that strong unity. It's where you have that friendship that maybe you haven't seen for a while, and then you meet back months later, and you still just seem to pick up right where you left off. That would be filial love. It's a strong, loyal love. The third love I'm going to talk about is eros love. Now this is, I think, of the fruit on the tree. Now, this is the love that is that sweet-tasting, aroma-filling the air type of love. It's what Hollywood seems to portray. It is that excitement and the fun of it all. I think of the episode. There's Andy Griffith and Opie. His child was going to his first dance with a girl. And Opie was nervous and he was scared. And he was talking to Andy. He's like, I don't know what to do. I get all these sweaty palms and I get nervous and I seem to just lose what I was thinking about. And I'm short of my breath and I just get so nervous. And then he gets some napkins and folds it up and puts it in Opie's pocket. And he said, anytime you get those sweaty palms, just put your hands in your pocket and dry your hands off a little bit. And if you get nervous and you're not sure what to say, just stop, take a deep breath, and just count to 5. That's all you need. You just take those few seconds. And that's eros love. That's the excitement. William Shakespeare, he said that it's next to madness. This love is next to insanity. Because so many times, we seem to just, lose our common sense sometimes. It seems that way anyway, especially in the first, few months of dating. You think of, I remember dating my wife. We would work at a pool, and we worked from like 7 in the morning until like 10 at night, full shift. And then we'd go out to the parking lot, and we'd hang out in the parking lot, or just sitting on the tailgate talking, walking around the park maybe until early hours of the morning. And then when we finally left and went home, I would have to get up the next day, a few hours later, just to go back to work at 7 in the morning again and work all day just to do it all over again. And my wife joked all the time, and we're like, we were crazy. I mean, who does that? I am tired at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, I start getting tired. I'm like, okay, let's start winding down for the day. I can imagine staying up till wee hours of the morning just to get up the next day. That's a part of eros love. But it is much more than the emotions and the feelings. And you don't want to take that away, but you definitely don't want to over-glorify it. Because eros love is so much more. It's love that is reverent. And Christ uses it in a way to describe his relationship with the church. In Revelations, he talks about him and the groom coming to his bride. It's a relationship that has covenant. It's a relationship that is calls responsibility. And there's a lot of mystery to it. And C.S. Lewis says, I haven't figured it all out. And I would be the first to tell you I have not figured it all out either. But it's clear that it's a love that is shared with God. And then the final love I want to talk about is agape love. And this is God's perfect love. And that's the fourth love, is God's perfect love. It's perfect in its loyalty. It's perfect in its caring. It's perfect in its mercy. It's the perfect love that only God can feel in your heart. And so that's what love is. I really just went over a simplified view, but you kind of get the picture that this is what love is, these versions of love. I hope when I talk, maybe you kind of think about what it was like, maybe when you first met your spouse. Maybe when that person just out of the blue did something nice for you. Or, the friendships that, you stand strong together. I mean, there's a lot of memories where, you're hanging out with your friends and you spit milk out your nose. I mean, those moments where you're just laughing so hard that you just can't seem to control it. Those are good memories. But there's also a part of love that's real. Hollywood, we seem to see it as, excitement and bliss. And once when you reach that point, then you kind of just ride on that. And life is perfect once when you find that love and there's that bliss and that happiness that just kind of overflows. But we in the real world know that's not the case. We know that there's struggle. We know that there's times when we show love to people and they don't show it back. There's times when we invest in things and they don't come back. They seem unfair. It seems like it's tearing us down. It could be, with the common everyday things. Those people at work and, you seem to do your best to just do everything right and everything's square. And the next thing you know, the people that you're working with just seem to just, fight against you. Or the boss just seems to just degrade what you're doing. Or maybe it could be just as simple as being in traffic and you let somebody in the exit and then they drive off in the shoulder and cut a whole bunch of people cut in. And you're just like, what just happened? I mean, did that person really just do that? Like, I was being nice and then they just cut for everybody. But let's be real. There's moments when love isn't fair and we just want to be like, oh, that's it. I'm done. I think of a story. A few months ago, I heard a speaker. And he was talking about, he was raised in a different country, raised in a Muslim household, and he had an arranged marriage. His parents arranged a marriage for him and this other woman. And somewhere between the arrangement and the marriage, this man got saved. And then the woman said, wait, you're a Christian? I don't want anything to do with you. I mean, we have to be married. It was part of the custom, it's part of, the arrangement, but I don't want anything to do with you. I can't stand you. You're a Christian. You're not even a person. I can't stand you. I want different bedrooms. And as far as living arrangements, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and I don't want anything to do with you. Now that seems unfair. And maybe your situation maybe isn't that extreme or permanent. Or maybe you feel like it is. Maybe you feel like you can relate to the guy. Have these situations in life, these friendships and spouse, maybe just strangers at work, that just seem to just run over you. Seem like they just hurt you. And you really are trying to show love, but you just feel like you want to throw in the towel. Now, what does the Bible say about all this? What can it offer? What can it tell me that love means to me? We're going to look at a Bible story in Hosea. And throughout the Bible, there's a lot of books of the Bible that just show God's love in such an amazing way. And maybe at first glance, Hosea would be like, really? Are you sure, Hosea? But I promise, through this reading, you'll realize this story is just soaked in love. And I'm going to make a few points, and I'm going to talk about how love pertains to you, but there may be a part of this story that the Holy Spirit speaks to you and says, hey, this is your takeaway. So please be open because, again, this story is soaked in love, and maybe there's one particular thing that will just point out to you. Now, Hosea opens up, and God has this chosen people called Israel. Now, God worked with the nation of Israel from the very beginning, from the first two people who started the nation of Israel. A couple of old people. And he's like, all right, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be your God. I'm going to lead you, and I'm going to show you what's right, and I'm going to work with you, and I'm going to love you, and I'm going to make this commitment to you. And you're going to have a nation. And so from these old people, we come way down the line to a nation of millions of people. And this nation, so many times they would be like, okay, God, we're sticking with it. We're going to follow you. And then a lot of times they're like, nah, never mind, we don't want God. And then that, we'll follow God because we got in the mess, and we don't want God. And we want God, and we don't. This story in particular, there are one of the situations where, once again, they've rejected God. And what happened was they were in where they lived, the surrounding nations had idols, a lot of them, and they would worship them. And Israel began to take in a few idols, and they'd be like, okay, we had God, we had the idols. And over time, they're like, well, maybe it wasn't God that did all this stuff. Maybe it was these idols. Maybe it was Baal. That was one of their gods. Well, okay. And so they pushed God aside, and they began to only worship the idols. And they began to sink in their depravity. They began to practice this idolatry worship, and they began to steal and lie, and they perverted justice, and they would kill, and the prostitution was rampant. And on the streets there was two classes. It wasn't like a nation that was working together. There was two classes. One that was extremely rich, and it was all about them, and they had extreme wealth. And then on the flip side was just the poor lining the streets that had nothing. And it was definitely a nation that was just sinking. And on top of this, the sexual immorality, they thought it was a sacrifice to their God. And so the temple that was meant for God, it was now a house for the prostitutes. And they believed that this prostitution was just a worship to this god called Baal. And God, the true God, was kicked to the side. And now in the midst of all this, God says, I'm going to speak to the Israelites. God has something to say, and He said, I'm going to tell them through a man named Hosea. And the overriding message of this is that God loves them. And no matter what they did, nothing can separate them from God's love. And yes, what they're doing is wrong. And there is no getting around the judgment of God. God is right, God is true, God is perfect. And He says, hey, if you're going to choose to do this, you choose to have the consequences. But that doesn't mean that I'm going away. I will still be your God. And there will be a day where you will turn back, and I will still be here. Because we made a covenant. And this covenant that they made with God way back, way back, was exactly the same ceremony as that of a marriage ceremony. And God says, I'm going to bow to you, I'm going to covenant to you, and I'm staying here. And so He spoke through Hosea, and Hosea said all this. He spoke about that faithfulness, He talked about God's punishment, and He tells the people to turn away, and that they were hurting God, and it grieved His heart, God's heart, that they were wallowing in their sin, and that God made a commitment for the people to turn back from their wicked ways. And we see this and we say, yeah, that's God. I mean, that is the agape love. That is that perfect love. Wow, yeah, that is God. Perfect in mercy. But there's one more part of this story that seems unfair. God told Hosea to speak to Israel and confront them. But He also told them something else. If we go to Hosea 1, verse 2 and 3. When the Lord began to speak to Hosea, the Lord said, go and marry a prostitute woman and have children with her. For like the adulterous wife of this land is guilty of unfaithfulness to the Lord, so he married Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. See, this marriage was to show that Israel was turned away from God, and even though God loved them, Israel wasn't loving Him back. They didn't love God. They didn't worship God. And it was grieving God. It hurt God. And it was the same principle with Hosea. See, Hosea was to go and love this woman that wasn't going to love him back. She didn't care about him. And I'm sure, just like it grieved God, it must have grieved Hosea. And yet God gives a lot of commandments in the Old Testament that sometimes they don't make sense, and a little later you see a miracle happen, or you see kind of the symbolism of it all. And I think that if it wasn't for the fact that I was just recently married, I don't think it would have bothered me. I would have just maybe glossed over it. But I kind of put myself in Hosea's shoes, and I was like, what if I was him? No, I would have been upset. I would have been like, what the heck, God? I'm following you. I'm trying to make a commitment to you, God. I'm trying to be right and just, and yeah, you can speak to people, I'll speak to the people, but you expect me to make a commitment to this woman who doesn't even care about me? You expect me to make a commitment to this person that's going to fight me tooth and nail over everything? I mean, she's going to try to bring idols in our house. And God, on top of this, you want me to have children with her, make a family? I mean, if you don't think this marriage is hard enough, God, try adding children to the mix. Try to raise godly children in the midst of all this. With this woman who doesn't care about me and doesn't care about you, God. I mean, I would be upset. It seems like it isn't fair. It seems like it just makes things so difficult for him. In the case you think, well, maybe wasn't that what happened? No, maybe once when they got married, everything just kind of fixed. No, we can read on. Chapter 3, we see what happens. Time passes, and her heart doesn't change. The Lord says, go show me your love with your wife again. Go show love with your wife again. Though she is loved by another man and is an adulteress, love her as the Lord loves her, the Israelites. Though they turn from their gods and love the sacred raisin cakes. His wife literally ran back to the brothel. After all this, after him showing her love, after him investing in her, she runs back to the brothel. She runs back to this ways of prostitution. She says, are you kidding me, Hosea? I mean, you can show me love, but I don't care for you. You know, I think this is one of those things that maybe we can feel like in our life we've been hurt like that. Maybe you'll feel like we are being hurt like that. You know, maybe a marriage or relationship, and you give and you give and you give, and it's just like, they're like, no, I don't care. I don't care that you're trying to work on this. I don't care that you're trying to invest in this. That must be how Hosea felt. His love was not being given in return. And then in the midst of all this, God said, it doesn't matter. Go back to your wife. God says, love her as the Lord loves the Israelites. And again, if I was Hosea, I'd be like, no, you know the situation, I don't want to. You know the situation. She's had children through this time, so it must have been years, and her heart doesn't change. God, how do you expect me to invest in this? I wouldn't want to. It would hurt. But in a love that is so profoundly greater than I can ever imagine, Hosea goes and he gets his wife. And Hosea writes this. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver, and about a homer and left of barley. And I told her, you are to live with me many days. You must not be a prostitute or intimate with any man. And I will be hated the same way towards you. And what would mean bring a man to do this? Having something so hurtful, and he says, let's move past this. Let's be united and committed to one another. What will bring a man to love like this? And it's the same thing that will bring you to love when you don't want to. The same thing that will bring hope to your situation. See, in Hosea's story, God does something remarkable. God looks at this little bitty man, this prophet, this little bitty man, and he says, hey, God, I am God. I am love. John writes that God is love. God says, I am love, and I'm going to invest in you, and I'm going to show you what love looks like from my point of view. I'm going to show you what love looks like. So God dips down, and he invests in this man called Hosea, and he says, let me show you through you what love is. Now I'm just going to give you a glimpse of my love for Israel. I'm going to let you have a glimpse of that. I'm going to, in all the amazement of the love that is agape love, that is God's love. God says, I'm going to touch your life, and I'm going to show you what it's like to love like I love. And that's what brought Hosea to love like that. The same thing's happening to you. As a Christian, God says, I'm going to come down and I'm going to show you what it's like to love people. Over and over, God says, He commands it. To love one another as I have loved you. And God's coming down and He's saying, hey, you can love like I love. You can show people love. You can see people through my eyes. And even though it may hurt, it may seem like nothing's happening, you can show a love that's so much greater than the world could ever experience, that you could ever experience. Yeah, I'm sure there was hurt and confusion, and it was tough. But have God of the universe work through you. God right there, every step of the way, showing himself in a way that's more fulfilling than you can imagine. Letting God show love to his wife when she ran away. This is God's love. And it's so powerful. It can take a broken home and restore it. And this love took a nation and turned it back to God. So what does this love mean to you? It means God's at the door saying, let me work through you. Let me affect your life. And not tear it down or cause chaos, but God will restore things. Restore broken relationships. And he may just restore your brokenness. I'm going to go through 3 distinct things just really fast of ways love is involved in our life. 3 ways God's perfect hand of love can work a miracle through you. And the first is you have to choose to love. The nation of Israel had a choice. And they said, we can choose to love God or we can choose to love these idols. We can choose to follow God or choose to follow the idols. And they chose themselves. They chose the idols. They chose not to love God. And Hosea had the same choice. Sometimes we're like, oh, what's the problem? They had to do these things. No, he still had a choice, just like anyone else. He could have said, oh, wow. I mean, that's extremely hard. It's going to give me a heartache, and it's going to bring me strife, and I don't want to deal with all that. But Hosea chose to love. And you can choose to love. John 15:12-13 says, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Ephesians 5:1-2 says, therefore be imitators of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ has also loved us, giving himself for us, and offering a sacrifice to God, a sweet smelling aroma. This is God's command. We have the opportunity to choose to love. He says in Hosea's story, Hosea, love your wife like I love Israel. My children, love as I have loved you. Crosspoint, love one another as God has loved you. Sometimes it takes a bit to sink in, especially in those heated moments, but ultimately you have a choice. You can choose to love. Second, after choosing to love, we have to let God purify our love. See, God works through us and makes the way we show love perfect. We're talking, using the analogy of the tree. And I want you to imagine, if you'll show that picture of I want you to imagine the roots of the tree were coming out of the fruit. Or the leaves, or the trunk of the tree. And I labeled this picture monster because it just looks so horrific. But essentially, imagine that's what it was. And anything that brushed up against the tree, anything that tried to pick its fruit, anything that just started to climb the tree, these roots, I imagine, would suck around it and try to feed off of it until whatever it was kind of died. Or eventually, if nothing was around it, the tree would just wither. Now, I know this seems like an extreme analogy, but take this to your life with these loves. Imagine you trying to get acceptance and need and all this from your relationship with your spouse, and then fulfilling everything that you need. And what's going to happen is they won't live up, they won't measure up, and what will happen is you'll suck that relationship dry. Same thing with your friendships, or you're expecting everyone that you meet to obey the road. You're going to end up being let down, and you're going to be hurt. And what's going to happen is you're either going to suck the relationship dry, or you're going to just feel like you're withering away. See, we have to have that agape love. She'll show the other picture. We have to have the roots where they need to be. This is where agape love picture comes in. I didn't talk about where its placement was, but it's the roots. See, agape love, it feeds everything else. This love that God has, this love that God is wanting to move through you, it feeds up from the roots. And what happens is it purifies these other loves. It makes an overabundance of these loves. 1 Corinthians 13 says that your loves in a relationship, in the story you love, in the phileo love, it says that your love will be patient. Love is kind. It won't envy. It doesn't boast. It's not proud. It doesn't dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It doesn't keep records of wrong. It doesn't delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It protects. It trusts. It hopes. It perseveres. What's happening is the more you pray and the more that you seek God, the more that you study the Scriptures, what happens is like the roots building for a foundation, and the roots going to seeking water and minerals. It soaks it up, and then it gives life to everything else. The same thing happens in your life. You seek God, and you pray, and you study. What happens is you're soaking up from the roots. And then your other relationships, you'll be able to show that love when the love is in return. You're able to invest in your marriage when you feel like that it isn't being invested back. And finally, there will be results. In Hosea's story, we see Israel turning back to God eventually. And the Israelites' story parallels so well with Hosea's story that there's something in me that's just got to believe that one day, that wife that turned away from Hosea, she said, how can someone love me like that? You know, how can someone invest in me like that whenever I betrayed him so many times? When I've cut him down so many times? I got to believe she said, that's a love that can truly heal a marriage. That is a love that can truly make restoration and unity. And again, it's not written in the Bible that marriage was united, but Israel's vow with God was. And I got to believe that Hosea's marriage was too. You know, I think of the story I told you earlier of the man who was in that arranged marriage. And he was hard. And she didn't want anything to do with him. Well, he chose to love like God loved. He chose to invest and be kind. He chose, not to try to make himself the head honcho of the house, and demand things of her, but show her mercy and love. And what happened was, eventually she came up to him months later and she said, I don't understand this. I meet you and I fight you every chance I get, but you're still showing me love. There's got to be something more than this. And so what happened was, he told her about Christ, and he began to teach her. And eventually that marriage was restored. That marriage was unified. And now that man and that woman that I heard, they were speaking at a conference, and they traveled around the world telling their story. See, that's results. You can have results. I'm not going to read these scriptures because of the sake of time, but I'm going to tell you some of the results of love. Psalms 131:23 and Psalms 145:20 says, if you love, God will stand by your side. Psalms 45:7, if you love, you'll be anointed with gladness. How many of us can use a little gladness? Psalms 119:165 says, if you love, peace in your life, and you will not stumble. Proverbs 10:12 says, hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers over all wrongs. 2 Corinthians 13:11 says, if you love, God is with you. If you love, you'll live in peace, and if you love, you'll be restored. These are just some of the results of what the Bible says when it comes to you showing love. It doesn't say you'll win. It doesn't say that you'll get your point across. It doesn't say that you'll show how great you are. So many times I feel like that's not what we really want. We want a little peace in a chaotic household. We want a little gladness in a rough workplace. You can see the results. If you look there, I use the acronym CPR. Because sometimes we feel like we're on that last piece of life. And maybe we've worked so hard and now we just feel like there's nothing left. I challenge you to give a little CPR. In your situation, choose to love. Choose to show love in those situations that maybe you don't want to. Maybe that doesn't seem fair. Choose to love. And then allow God to purify your love. pray and study and let a foundation grow. And learn to do things with that pure heart, those pure intentions, not about yourself. And finally, you will see results. You will see results. It may not come right away. It may be down the road, but I guarantee you, God will work through you and you will see results. And God will give you results more than you could ever imagine.